As Allied forces advanced from the west, it seemed German defeat was near. Germany knew they couldn't win at this point, but did all they could to force a peace in their favor. The result was one of the last major battles of the war in Europe, the Battle of the Bulge. Although the Allies still had momentum from D-Day, their troops were tired from endless combat and supply lines had been stretched thin. General Eisenhower decided that the Ardennes would be the best region to recuperate, as the terrain seemed favorable for defense. At the same time, Hitler was desperately trying to weaken any opposing forces he could. He determined that it would be easiest to attempt to surround and crush the Allied armies in the west, thus creating a separate peace with the Allies than with the Soviets. After discussing this plan with senior officers, German goals seemed too ambitious. Field Marshals Model and Rundstedt warned that the German forces didn't have the resources to get as far as Antwerp. Regardless, Germany continued on with the desperate attack. Soon enough, American, British, Canadian, French, Belgium, and Luxembourg troops would be surrounded by the Germans. Unternehmen Wacht am Rhein, a code name taken from the popular patriotic song Die Wacht am Rhein, or The Watch on the Rhine, was underway. On December 16, 1944, at 5:30 in the morning, Nazi forces surprised the Allies with a relentless artillery barrage. Snowstorms kept Allied planes grounded and created harsh fighting conditions for both sides. In the north, the Battle of Elsenborn Ridge held up some of the Wehrmacht's best units, including the 6th Panzer Army, which had the elite of the Waffen-SS. During the attack, German forces took the American 285th Field Observation Battalion as prisoners near the town of Malmedy. When the Waffen-SS rejoined German forces, they slaughtered the American prisoners, killing around 84 in cold blood. Further north, in the town of Wereth, the 1st SS Panzer Division tortured and murdered 11 black Americans who had surrendered. The German advance was finally stopped at Chenot, when a combination of attacks from the 82nd Airborne, artillery barrages, and an accidental airdrop of German supplies behind the American lines forced the Germans to retreat. The Americans, outnumbered 5-1, won the battle with an inflicted casualty rate of 18-1. The victorious Americans took revenge on the Germans, killing 60 Nazi prisoners on New Year's Day. In the face of the huge German offensive, General Montgomery ordered British troops to guard the crossings of the Meuse River. Germans in this region had been gaining ground much faster than the north or the south. This advance caused German High Command to reassign the 9th Panzer Division to help elsewhere. On Christmas Eve, German tanks had reached the river. Montgomery's hastily assembled defensive force managed to repel the Germans and reverse the tide before nightfall. Operation Greif saw English-speaking German soldiers infiltrate the American ranks. These infiltrators caused chaos by changing road signs, cutting wires, and anything else they could do to disrupt the Americans. American MPs had to go around quizzing soldiers at random about American culture, like Mickey Mouse or baseball. On one occasion, General Omar Bradley was detained when he said Springfield was the capital of Illinois, as the MP questioning him incorrectly thought it to be Chicago. When captured, Germans lied about their intentions, often claiming to be sent to assassinate General Eisenhower in Paris. In late December, German forces advanced in the south, eventually laying siege to the American-held town of Bastogne. General Eisenhower decided to take advantage of this and cut off the Germans when they were vulnerable from attacking. He asked General Patton how quickly he could get his forces to counterattack, to which Patton assured him he could do it in 48 hours. Little did any of the other Allied officers know, Patton had anticipated this, and his troops were already on their way. By the 21st of December, Bastogne was surrounded by Germans. General McAuliffe, commander of the defending 101st Airborne, was awoken by an aide to inform him they were surrounded, to which he replied, "Nuts." Shortly thereafter, He was meeting with his officers to discuss a reply to the request for surrender the German High Command had sent. One officer suggested he replied as he did that morning. Soon enough, the German commander received a reply to his call for an American surrender, reading only, "Nuts." On Christmas Day, the German tanks advanced only to be destroyed. The following day, General Patton's forces came in and cleaned up the remaining German forces. On January 1st, the Luftwaffe launched a massive attack on Allied forces. The Allies lost 465 planes, while the Luftwaffe lost only 277. Of those 277, 172 were due to either not knowing how many anti-air guns the Allies had, and German friendly fire. The Allies were able to quickly recover, but the failed attacks crippled the Luftwaffe for the rest of the war. German ground forces continued to attack the Allies, but kept having to retreat to defensive positions. By January 25, 1945, the Germans called off the assault. Although the Battle of the Bulge was meant to halt Allied momentum and result in favorable peace for Germany, it had the exact opposite effect. The Allies rode their momentum from their successful victory through the end of the war in Europe. German atrocities such as the massacres at Malmedy and Wereth caused more resentment in Allied forces. The Battle of the Bulge proved the finest hour for many of the Allies' best units and commanders, especially the 101st and 82nd Airborne, and Generals Omar Bradley, George Patton, and Bernard Montgomery. Hitler had gambled and lost. From this point onwards, the Nazis had less than no chance of even surviving the war. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe. I'm Matthew, and I hope I'll see you next time.
Goodbye, goodbye, wet a tear, baby dear, from your eye. Though it's hard to part, I know, I'll feel sick of the death to go. Don't cry, don't sigh, there's a silver lining in the sky. But